10, a bridal faux pas or a sign of the times?
I guess I don't know what the right answer would have been.
Wedding experts weigh in on a bill sent to a Twin Cities couple when they couldn't attend a wedding.
It's a little bit ridiculous.
Plus, an officer-involved accident that could cost the city of Minneapolis $237,000.
But first, daycare providers busted in $1 million fraud scheme.
The county attorney calls it theft by swindle. Child care centers raided for overbilling the state. I have the story coming up.
Topping the 10, 3 Minneapolis daycare centers and a fourth in St. Louis Park are under a cloud of suspicion tonight, accused in a $1 million fraud scheme.
Investigators say, among other things, the centers billed the government for kids who were never even in their care. John Croman is live with details. John?
Well, I'm standing outside Children's Choice Center here in Northeast Minneapolis. This is one of four locations that were raided today by investigators as part of this probe. Now, this child care center, like the other ones, does provide actual care to real children. The problem is that they're billing for more children than they actually have, according to the charges.
It took money from us taxpayers and put in the pockets of these individuals who ran these child care centers.
Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman joined the head of the BCA and the Human Services Inspector General to reveal a billing fraud scheme that could add up to $1 million.
They put a camera up on the telephone pole and they counted the kids that went in and the kids that came out.
Investigators watched Minnesota Child Care Services in southeast Minneapolis for 2 weeks last fall and found that the center billed the state for 950 more children than were actually cared for during that time.
I can tell you that in terms of dollars, this is one of the largest criminal fraud investigations that the BCA and the Department of Public Safety has been involved in.
Agents watched Children's Choice Center at Northeast Minneapolis for 13 days last April and found the center billed for 291 more children than were actually served. Surveillance at Uma Child Care Center in South Minneapolis during 7 days in April found the center charged the state for 92 more kids than they actually cared for.
We have individuals who are helping themselves to the money that's intended to be helping families and children.
A fourth location, Minnesota Child Care Academy in St. Louis Park, was also searched today, but no charges have been brought against that center at this point. So far, the probe has led to 4 arrests, but more are expected.
We have a lot of data to analyze, a lot more work to do, and I could argue that today is really the beginning of that workload.
Now, on the average month, there are about 30,000 children that are enrolled in the child care program, child care assistance program in Minnesota. And that's a program designed to get children ready for kindergarten and also free up their parents to go to a job or to go to college. But there are also more than 5,000 families on the waiting list to get into that program. And according to the Inspector General, those families are the true victims of this alleged billing fraud. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, John.
New at 10 within the last hour, a South Dakota jury has convicted a Sioux Falls man for the murder of Adrian Peterson's son. Joseph Patterson has maintained his innocence in the October 2013 beating death of 2-year-old Tyrese Ruffin. Patterson was dating the boy's mother at the time of the crime. He now faces a life in prison. The city of Minneapolis could end up paying for a crash involving the Washington Redskins team bus. The Minneapolis police cruiser that escorted the bus to last November's game caused the collision. The Minneapolis city attorney and the police department are proposing a $237,000 settlement. The city council could approve the amount as soon as next Friday.
3 women are under arrest accused of vandalizing a sign at Walter Palmer's Bloomington dental office on Monday. Palmer was at the center of controversy after killing Cecil the lion in Zimbabwe. Police say the women, 2 from Florida and 1 from Bloomington, spray painted the sign. Palmer returned to work earlier this month. The report from a Homeland Security task force finds that Minnesota leads the nation in the number of people seeking to fight alongside ISIS. Of the 19 states included in the report, Minnesotans accounted for about a quarter of recruits. Many of those recruits are from the Somali community, and there are efforts to change that statistic, including a new mentoring initiative with Big Brothers and Big Sisters of the Twin Cities. They will target 8 to 12-year-olds.
We start with youth early and help them build those skills that are going to help them make better choices and have more positive relationships as they progress through their youth.
That program, funded by the Carlson Family Foundation, begins in 2016.
Federal officials plan to give state lawmakers time to boost Minnesota's driver's licenses to comply with federal standards. Minnesota is one of 4 states that has not complied with stronger federal requirements for IDs passed after September 11th. It has raised concern that Minnesotans may need an extra form of ID other than a driver's license to board a plane as soon as next year. New York State must also still comply, which leads travel experts to believe that more delays are ahead.
What would they do in airports like LaGuardia and JFK and Newark? They would be devastated.
Department of Homeland Security officials say the deadline won't come immediately in 2016. A final cutoff date will be announced later this year. The Department of Homeland Security also insists the federal government is not creating a database to collect your personal information. The real ID, they say, is not a federal ID, but a state ID with federal security requirements that brings up the minimum standards for state IDs across the country. If Minnesota decided to use an enhanced driver's license as the real ID, federal officials will require that license be marked not for federal purposes.
The federal government is staring down another budget problem. Funding runs through midnight tomorrow night. Both the Senate and the House are expected to pass a temporary measure that would avoid a shutdown on October 1st. That vote will not solve the overall funding problem, though, just push back the funding deadline to December 11th. New information at 10 on a fight for better pay and working conditions for Target Field concession workers. Employees met with the Twins and the concessions contractor following last week's protest to discuss concerns like waiting in line for no pay, low wages, and getting paid with a debit card that has fees. Neighborhoods Organizing for Change, which advocates for those workers, says the contractor could present proposed changes by the end of the week.
Weddings can be expensive these days, but a Twin Cities couple who RSVP'd to a wedding and then didn't show got quite a surprise when they were billed for the meals they missed. More than 1,500 people have weighed in on the controversial invoice in the 10 hours since we posted it on the KARE 11 Facebook page. Jay Olstead has reaction from that couple and a wedding etiquette expert, all new at 10.
The whole thing is just kind of silly.
It was a couple weeks ago. Jessica Baker was getting ready to go to a wedding with her husband when she got a call from her mom.
She had called at the last minute. She had something come up and said, I can't make it.
Her mom was supposed to watch their kids, and since the invitation said no children, that meant no wedding. But then yesterday, the mail came.
You gotta be kidding me.
Inside, a bill for the dinner they were supposed to have enjoyed.
It listed that we would have had 2 herb-crusted walleye, and then there was also a service and tax charge.
For a total of $75.90.
I guess I don't know what the right answer would have been, what the right thing to do would have been.
She certainly got a lot of advice after posting the bill to Facebook. KARE 11's page alone had hundreds and hundreds of comments.
This is kind of a wild story.
Sarah Bauman-Rogers is the editor of Minnesota Bride magazine and has some experience on wedding etiquette.
And under no circumstances should you choose to follow up after the fact, kind of questioning why they couldn't attend or much less sending a bill.
But she understands why couples may be upset after spending a lot of money and some guests skip out, which is why she tells people to notify hosts as soon as possible if you can't attend.
A general kind of rule of planning is that you should prepare for kind of a 10% either overage or underage when you're planning like a big event like that.
A big event Jessica didn't attend, but certainly won't forget.
I don't think I'll be missing another wedding again.
Now, our wedding expert says she's heard of this before, but it is rare. She also mentioned it is perfectly all right to follow up with a guest if you haven't received an RSVP from them. We put a link to more tips at KARE11.com.
So is she planning to pay the bill? Or?
Well, she said she threw it away, so I'm guessing.
Probably not. And this, we didn't want to get specific, but this was a family member, someone, a relative.
Family relative, yeah.
So Christmas is just going to be fabulous. Don't you think? All right, thank you, Jay.
Thanks, Jay. Still ahead at 10, it may be September, but snow plows are already coming out of storage.
Tonight, an inside look at the training it takes to keep roads clear in the winter. But first, we are staring down the chilliest morning of the week. Belinda's here with the first look at the forecast.
Well, you're right, Julie. In fact, it'll be the chilliest morning of the season so far. Let's take a look at where we are right now. We're sitting at 53. You can see it's already freezing in International Falls, 34 both in Hibbing and also in Ely. And this morning it was frozen up there. And so for us, tomorrow morning in the northern suburbs, there is frost possible. North of there, a freeze. So you want to cover up any of those tomatoes that are still on the vine and any tender plants. We'll talk about the cool morning and the gorgeous week ahead coming up in just a couple of minutes.
More than 700 volunteers at the VA Medical Center in St. Cloud, and not one of them will outtalk a 13-year-old boy.
Now I talk a lot. I just like talking.
Why that's such a good thing for veterans. Next, in the land of 10,000 stories.
I also love architecture, photography. What else do I like?
The St. Cloud VA Medical Center relies on more than 700 volunteers. Recently, we received an email from a veteran about one of those volunteers. In tonight's Land of 10,000 Stories, Boyd Hooper introduces us to the talk of the St. Cloud VA.
Picture an old-time jukebox, silent, just waiting. You put in a quarter, then hit play.
Well, I've been doing this for about more than a month.
Not unlike asking a question of Aiden Knaus.
Usually just at the summer I always sit home, and I'll hang out with my friends a lot.
Aiden is 13 and an 8th grader at Sartell Middle School.
Awesome.
But these aren't the school halls he's walking while talking.
My mom works here.
Rather, the St. Cloud VA Medical Center.
Pretty much me, I talk.
Where Aiden
Here we go.
is not one.
We are good.
To just talk the talk.
I walk like 10 miles a day.
As a VA volunteer escort.
It's a bit cloudy, and I think it's going to start raining soon, actually.
Aiden's gift
This hallways get pretty warm.
has not gone unnoticed.
In all the years, and I've been here at the VA for 10 years plus, I've never came across a student like you.
I always try to make them feel good, I don't want to just push them and just be quiet.
Navy vet Mary Klazowski
It's pretty cool.
also shares these halls.
I was born and raised on a farm.
As a VA housekeeper.
Same thing as my grandma and grandpa.
Everybody, they want Aiden, but Aiden's never available because everybody wants him.
Nice.
One day after turning 13,
We'll take you to the handicap door.
first time he was old enough to volunteer,
Yeah.
Aiden started bringing vets to therapy, the canteen, and chapel.
Have a nice day, sir.
And then they started bringing him something
I just like to talk.
unexpected.
I didn't know that he could thrive in something like this, and that's what I think he's doing. He's thriving.
Tanya Hundeby is Aiden's mom.
School's been hard for him.
School often is.
I do everything fast.
For kids diagnosed with memory lapses, attention deficit, and high-functioning autism.
I couldn't really talk when I was little. I couldn't talk till I was 3 years old.
I worried a lot.
Tanya started teaching her son sign language, unsure he would ever talk.
It's kind of hard to get a good spot to sit on these chairs.
But as the other volunteers can attest,
I didn't think you were actually 80.
silence is no longer an Aiden issue.
I just did not think that.
That's nice to hear. Because he can talk.
Did you play any sports when you were a kid?
He loves meeting new people and having conversations.
Oh, really?
Learning about people's lives.
Well, what'd you do in the Air Force?
And as Aiden has talked with vets like World War II Airman Donald Zitter, he's also learned
I was a machine gunner.
some words are best left
You don't want to remember that stuff.
unspoken.
You keep it to yourself. You don't want to talk about it. It's totally fine.
She's very special to me.
After 16 days in rehab with a broken hip,
It blew me away.
Navy vet Jay LaCrosse is finally back driving his work truck.
Trust me.
Yet still thinking about the day.
I got skills.
He noticed Aiden pushing him more slowly.
And that's when I said, Aiden, did you get in a little fender bender? And he said, no. He said, I just realized if I went slower that you and I would have more time to talk. And that was the first time that, he just, it hit me so hard, how special this kid was.
We're all set up now.
And as for that mom,
Take it straight to KT.
who used to worry,
He's perfect just the way he is. Very proud of him.
My grandma's the manager.
we've all been told that talk is cheap.
Yeah.
But for those who served our country,
Right over here.
Aiden Knaus
Need a turn signal.
delivers.
Oh, you want to go outside?
Boyd Hooper, KARE 11 News, St. Cloud.
Oh, yeah, we'll go outside.
In his first 2 months at the VA Medical Center, Aiden logged more than 160 volunteer hours. Now back at middle school, he hopes to help out during breaks and says he'll definitely be back next summer. If you're interested in volunteer opportunities at the St. Cloud VA, you'll find information on our website at KARE11.com.
What an amazing kid you are, Aiden. That is
I guess
awesome.
so.
Awesome. Jeez, I mean,
glad
what a difference he's making in all those people's lives that he probably doesn't even realize he's making.
Well, yeah.
All he wants to do is have conversation.
I know, he wants to go slow and talk to him.
What kind of reminds you of being around Belle and me a little bit.
A
doesn't
little
it?
bit.
No, nothing like that. You know, I'm really happy that somebody let us know about that story. Well, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
I mean, Boyd taps into these amazing stories because, of course, you let us know. So we really do appreciate it.
Well done, Aiden.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so it's going to be a frosty night north of the metro, and so wait until I'm done here and then cover up those tomato plants. Maybe watch Perk too. I don't know, whatever you think. So let's take a look at this. You know what? Well, it's true. They're worried about their tomatoes.
I know they are. I know they are.
They
Bill.
got
Lots of
10 more
places.
minutes and then they can
Okay,
take care
10
of
more
all of
minutes,
it.
Julie. Let's just give them that. I know we're waiting for that twin score. I'm not sure what happened there. It was raining. Okay, so this is what I know. I know that the DNR puts out a great information every single couple of days updating this map, and they are reporting that in the metro, the leaves are anywhere between 25 to 50%. And I have to say, I differ with that information because we really are far behind when it comes to the peak color. We're not complaining because it was so warm in September. That is the reason. But we do know that the peak colors that typically would be all across central Minnesota as we're wrapping up September and heading into early October are really just slowly but surely trickling south. But it is gorgeous nonetheless, and we're expecting beautiful weeks ahead. These are the average dates when you cut up the state and look at when we typically have the peak. Mid-September for northern Minnesota, and that is currently happening as we speak in late September. And then late September, that whole part of the state hasn't really reached that peak yet. And that, of course, is some of the most beautiful spots in the state along with the North Shore. And then here in the metro, early October is when we typically peak. It looks like it might be at least a week to 10 days late. And then mid-October for beautiful southeastern Minnesota and into Wisconsin. So we have many weeks ahead to enjoy these fall colors. 63 was the high today. So yes, feeling like September again, just like that. We're below average for the first time in a while. 66 is the average. We will dip down to 42 at the bus stop tomorrow morning as the kids are heading out. It will be a cool, crisp morning. The winds will be light. This is what will happen overnight. There'll be a lot of frosty locations to the north, and a few spots will see their first freeze. Northern Minnesota started this morning out, as I mentioned earlier, in the 20s. So they reached it this morning, which is a tad behind average as well. We will tomorrow top out at 61 to 64. And when it comes to the country, I was just looking, we have obviously some of the nicest weather in the country. It's pretty dry to the west, but look at this. We have flood watches out all across the east. And this is before the tropical storm Joaquin moves in. So this area is going to have rain basically for the next 7 days with just some minor breaks. And with that said, we are going to stay kind of in our pattern as well. Nothing really moving from west to east, just a few systems moving in from the south. So that is why we're anticipating this. Really, the doldrums of late September into October. No one complaining here though. Gorgeous weather ahead. And we do expect a cool morning for the next couple of mornings, but then just beautiful weather as we move through the next few days as I'm staring at that gorgeous, big, almost full moon out here in the backyard.
Yeah,
so
it's gorgeous again tonight for
It
sure.
is.
Chilly though. Whew, it's
Yes.
cold out there.
I love it, this kind of weather.
yeah,
though.
you just need a little fleece and you're all good.
Open the window and it's just perfect sleeping weather.
Yes.
Thank you, Belle.
Perfect.
Okay.
Well, we may be weeks away from our first snowfall that did not stop plow drivers from getting behind the wheel. Crews are taking part in a 2-week training camp at Camp Ripley in Little Falls. The trucks alone weigh 23,000 pounds, so MnDOT officials say it is very important that the 100 drivers can get through this obstacle course without any mistakes. Coming up in sports, the Wild take a team bonding trip to Duluth.
And the Timberwolves are back on the court for their first practice of the season.
KARE 11 Sports from the Mayo Clinic Sports Medicine Sports Desk.
As if trying to sift through all this wild card madness wasn't convoluted enough, along comes Mother Nature to confuse things further. Twins at Indians rained out tonight. They'll play a double dip tomorrow. Minnesota entering the night a game and a half back in the wild card chase. Still trying to catch both the Angels and Astros, both those teams in action out west. In other words, go A's and go Mariners tonight. In one of the most curious experiments in sports broadcasting, NBA TV is offering up entire practices with analysis. Timberwolves were the subject of today's 3-hour marathon. Was cool to see some of these guys in action, though, all together, and that includes the Rookie of the Year, Andrew Wiggins. Expect more big things from this real-deal playmaker who isn't expecting a sophomore slump.
There was points in the season where I was tired, my body was tired, but everyone said that's natural for a rookie, you know, their first year, and coming in my second year, I know what to expect. You know, I've been working hard this summer. Mentally, physically, you know, just trying to, you know, evolve my game. You know, I believe I'm better at everything I did last year.
Well, there will be championship basketball at Target Center on Sunday. The Indiana Fever topple the New York Liberty to win the Eastern Conference Championship of the WNBA tonight, so it'll be a best of 5 now for the title. Games 1 and 2 here Sunday at 2, and then Tuesday night. Lynx beat Indiana both times they met in the regular season. Taking some preseason puck up north today in the state of hockey, the Minnesota Wild hold practice at AmSoil Arena in Duluth, part bonding, part spreading the love for this entire state that they wear on their sweaters. They'll have another one tomorrow at AmSoil in the morning.
Whether it's the golf and the way that we're treated there or the way that we're treated here in the arena and the way that the Bulldogs treat us, but also just the community. It's a great spot for us to come to.
Great rink and great place to play from what I've heard guys that have played up here, and good history of hockey up here in Duluth, and it's yeah, like I said, it's a fantastic facility.
Well, quietly, they are one of the hottest sports teams in town. Don't tell anybody. Today, rocketing even further up the national rankings, Gopher women's soccer now recognized as the 11th best team in the country, up from number 18 last week. The Gophers, with a lot of local standouts on the team, are undefeated and in first place in the Big Ten, and now set their sights on the Badgers Friday in Madison.
I think one of the big differences is how our team is playing as a whole. You know, we're creating a lot more opportunities than we did last year, and as a team, we're scoring a lot more goals.
I think our team chemistry is great this year, and we've really pushed, and we knew we had a good team coming into preseason, so every practice we bring it and we challenge each other, and it's really showing in the games.
Lakeville and Eden Prairie represented right there. That's sports. KARE 11 News, back after this.
Before we go, the stars of an upcoming movie were at the Mall of America tonight to meet with fans. Jack Black and his Goosebumps cast members took over the Rotunda for a question and answer session about the big screen adventure, which is based on the books written by R.L. Stine. The movie has a release date of October 16th, but you can catch Jack Black on KARE 11 News at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. He'll be here in studio.
A lot of people excited, including your son.
He is.
He's going to interview him. It's very exciting.
That's the rumor, anyway.
Thanks for watching.
Oh,
Ooh, that
pretty moon.
Moon.
Moon.